Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the evening. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Have you ever gone through life wondering where you belong? The formula for life is perfection equals success, right? Tonight, my personal story is going to go through three phases, and my goal is to inspire you to stop chasing perfection and embrace who you already are. Phase one of my story is the pursuit of perfection. There were a lot of things in my life that I had no control over. And there were a lot of things, especially about my personality, that I hated. I was shy, quiet. It was hard for me to make friends, and I didn't feel like I belonged. So, what I did was I focused on the things that I could control. I was good in school, I focused on my grades, I was a good girl, and I focused on my plan. And my plan was I was going to be a doctor. So I did things that I thought would be right. I checked the boxes, I followed the plan. Everything was going to go according to plan. When I was younger, my favorite show was Gilmore Girls, and my favorite character in the show was Rory Gilmore. She wasn't always the most popular girl, she didn't have the most friends, but one thing that I liked about her was her ambition. When she set her mind to something, she usually got it. So, because of her ambitious nature, I decided that I was going to model myself after her. I was going to do what she did to get into the school of her dreams. And I got into the school of my dreams, which was Johns Hopkins University. So I got into my dream school, Johns Hopkins. Everything was going according to plan. I was pre med. This is all going to work out. But by my senior year, something was just seriously wrong. Burnout and uncertainty rocked everything. And that led me to phase two, which is the breaking point. By the time I reached my senior year of college, I had lost my motivation to be a medical doctor at all. But if I wasn't going to be a doctor, then who am I? And I had to do some searching. So I asked family and I asked friends and I talked to people in healthcare. And finally, I figured out that maybe becoming a CRNA would be a possibility for me. So the plan was destroyed, but it's okay. I can move with it. I can go along with it. The only problem is that there were cracks that continued to form in the plan. There was stress from school. My social anxiety was through the roof. I could barely focus on what was going on in the operating room. I had low confidence or no confidence at all, and my marriage was strained. And I came to a difficult realization. I followed the formula and I still felt empty. So perfection failed me. That means I had to turn inward. That led me to phase three of my story, which is rediscovering belonging. I asked myself, why am I constantly chasing perfection? And what am I actually running away from? Perfection actually left me feeling empty. And in that place, I found something that I actually never considered: self acceptance. So I started to actually lean into the things that I once resented. I decided that I wasn't just going to fit into rooms that weren't meant for me. I was going to build spaces that reflected me. And it led me to discover that it's okay to pursue new directions. You don't always have to go with the plan. So, what am I doing that's varying from the plan? I'm actually studying to become an IRS enrolled agent. My goal is to help healthcare professionals with financial literacy and tax strategy. I'm not chasing perfection anymore. I've chosen to accept that every part of me should show up fully and without disguise. Where are you chasing perfection in your life? What would happen if you actually just allowed yourself to be? When I was striving for perfection, I was just trying to prove my worth. But extreme acceptance allowed me to embrace my worth. When we practice extreme acceptance, we stop searching for a place to belong and start realizing that we belonged all along. Hi, my name is Rosie, and I'm a reformed perfectionist. Thank you.
Always great to hear somebody give their icebreaker speech, and just like Heidi tonight, you came in ferocious. If somebody wouldn't have told me that it was your icebreaker speech, I wouldn't have believed them. You came out, you had a very good hook to get us started tonight. I really enjoy how you did that. And you expressed a large degree of vocal variety. As you got more excited, your pitch would go up and then you would slow things down. You had very nice pacing. Now, I'm not sure if you were reading off of anything, but it seemed very well rehearsed, and if you were reading off of anything off the computer, I couldn't tell, so very good there. I enjoyed your closing statement a lot as well, how you ended, "I'm Rosie," and I'm a little bit lost on the last little bit of the quote, but I did really enjoy how you ended it. The only thing that I would say to have challenged you at the end of your speech, since you did have more time, would have been to give a more definitive call to action to the audience. I think you had a lot of really great things with your personal story and how it developed. You possibly would have had time to speak to the audience and tell them how they could correlate these teachings in their own life. Some things that you may need to work on. I noticed as you were going through in each one of your events, you tended to transition with the word "so." So then I went over here, and I'm sure that Ron didn't hear it, but I did, so let's try, and here I say so, but let's try to transition a little bit differently. For an icebreaker speech, I would give it a 10 out of 10. You seemed very confident. You were not afraid to be the highlight of the room. You very confident, and you didn't miss a beat as you went on. And that is my evaluation of you, Rosie. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's a pleasure to finally get to know you.